Welcome to Ask Ms. ERP. The topic of this video is what ERP project activities do you need? Hello everyone, Ms. ERP here. In the last few videos I talked about the people and roles that you will need for your large system implementation or upgrade, which will already have given you a good idea of what project activities that you should consider. In this video I will quickly mention typical IT project phases, but we'll focus more on some activities that are unique to ERPs, EAMs, or other large enterprise application projects. Typical IT projects generally have the following phases. Names may differ, but hopefully the concepts are the same at your company. Initiation or discovery is the first phase, where you are identifying what it is that you want to do. You are exploring and evaluating your options, both for the application itself and a possible implementation partner. Typically, this involves developing a business case with a high-level scope and getting funds to proceed. Planning is the second phase. This step is usually rushed in my experience. More upfront planning can likely save you some grief later. Then comes execution. This is actually getting the job done and delivering to your project plan. The last phase is close, where you are handling live system support, retiring any old systems, perhaps performing a value realization and a project look back. If you can come up with a really good plan, then in theory, execution should be a piece of cake, as you can just follow the plan. While this sounds great, in reality, you cannot plan for everything in advance, so you will need to reevaluate often and adjust if necessary. It is very common to pick a go-live date based on a best guess and then be held to it. While always good to have a stretch goal, if you design checkpoints into your plan, you can adjust both timelines and hopefully funds if necessary. In my experience, these complex projects are almost always underestimated, and if you are transparent about progress along the way, it will make possibly tough conversations with your steering committee easier. My first recommendation is to be very clear on what you plan to do in a detailed project charter document. You will need at least a high-level scope to get past the initiation phase, but please do not let that stand as your final scope definition, as it will lead to confusion and therefore time and costs later. With ERPs or other large systems, it is very tempting to throw in a bunch of other items to do while you're at it. Including some of those items might make sense, but they need to be evaluated and resource impacts considered. Making additional items initially out of scope will prompt the right behavior. The detailed scope needs to be fully documented, signed off by leadership, and communicated to all stakeholders. Same with any changes to scope during the project. I covered a lot of the required activities in video number 16, What ERP Project Roles Do You Need?, just by mentioning the lead roles. Tasks like system configuration, development, reporting, change management, training, and security all need to be scheduled, and the leads of those areas should be able to help do so. I also mentioned integrations, which are typically not given the attention that they need, so I will be doing a video on that subject in the near future. For now, just know they will need more time than whatever you initially allocate. If you are redesigning business processes, particularly for a SaaS system, this will be an iterative process in conjunction with system setup or configuration. This needs to be signed off as completed quite early in the project lifecycle, or else other activities such as development and reporting will not be able to proceed, as their requirements will be either incomplete or changing on the fly. Also ensure you allow time for accurate documentation, an activity that no one seems to enjoy doing, but it is much easier to do as part of your project rather than trying to figure out what was done post-go-live. Your business architects or super users will probably need to see their own data in the new system to be able to determine how a specific business process will need to be configured. You can certainly enter some data manually to get them going, but you must soon be able to provide some real source data. You will always find some surprises in this area. Even if you are just upgrading the same system, the new version will likely have some new mandatory data requirements that will require you to clean up your source data. Data conversion has its own life cycle, and questions you should be asking yourself are, what does the end state need to look like? Where will the data come from? Will you take all of your data or just some of it? If you have a lot of data, you may have to design your loads in chunks. An example would be to preload all of your historical details for required prior years in advance of go live, and then just load current year for go live. To do this, you need to coordinate with the business to not make any changes to data already loaded, ideally controlled with security so that you know for sure that nothing changes. What tool will you use for data conversion? Then you will need a detailed field-level mapping to transform from source to target. Design your data extracts so that it can be rerun easily, as you will have to do this many times. Consider how the target system will handle reloading data again and again to get it right. Sometimes it is not that easy to reset a system to be able to reload the same data. You will also have to consider the sequence, as some data conversions will be dependent on others to be run first. And one last big point on this topic. Make sure to design in reconciliation reports at every single transformation step, as you will need to prove to your auditors that the data was not manipulated at any point. A few comments on testing. Typically, these large system projects have developer-performed technical testing and area-specific functional testing, which are both needed. But for ERPs, you also need System Integrated Testing, or SIT, where everyone does testing at once. This ensures that you look at end-to-end business processes, integrations, and system load impact. You may need to do this multiple times depending on the complexity of your project. User Acceptance Testing, or UAT, generally follows SIT and is equally as important. Users or super users always find different ways to test the system, which helps point out issues early. Your mission should be to try and break the system. In other words, don't just do happy path testing. If there is a way to cause a problem, some end user will definitely find it, so best you address it during the project, not after go live.
Are you ready for this? Are you ready for this?
Whoa!
Talking of go live, you have to test this too, as many times as you can fit in. One project that I was on, we performed a mock cutover 3 times, which enabled us to correct some issues that would have been very serious had it been the real thing. While go live might seem a long way off when you start your project, I would recommend that you assign a coordinator to own this activity, as this is a very complex event for enterprise systems and there will be many dependencies that will need to be accounted for. It is a huge effort to coordinate mock cutovers, but it is sometimes the only way to find problems ahead of go live. You will need to prepare for post-go live support as well. I will cover this in a future video, but for now just understand that you will need some hypercare for 1 to 3 months post-go live. It will take some time to stabilize your new system, no matter how well you executed your project. I hope that these ideas will help you design a realistic ERP implementation or upgrade project plan. This concludes the What ERP project activities do you need topic. I have a number of ideas for topics for Ask Ms. ERP, but I'm also hoping that you will post questions that perhaps I can help answer. There's a link on askmserp.com to send me emails and suggest topics for future videos. Or you can just add comments on any YouTube video. Please subscribe to my channel, and if you would like to receive notifications of new Ask Ms. ERP videos, please update your YouTube settings as shown. Thanks, and see you on the next video.